Wetso madume. Dikgang ke tsa Lesedi television tseo di tlisetswang ke nna Kudzani Nametso Mudala. Pele a re bonetse di gogang ko pele. Lephata la thuto go tswa ko moding le boitekanelo jwa bana le netefaletsa setšhaba gore nako ya ditlhatlhobo e tla tsamaya sentle. Mayfair Insurance Limited e bulela moreki wa Botswana dikgoro. Sethopa sa batabogisi se neng se ile Tokyo, Japan se boetse gae. Tona ya boitekanelo jwa bana le thuto go tswa ko modimo Motlotlega Nono Kgafela Mokoka o netefaletse setšhaba gore thathubo ya bofelo ya 2025 e tla tswelela jaaka e rulagantswe le fa go ne go na le kgetsi pele ga kgotlatshekelo ya motsotso wa bofelo e neng e batla go ntsha dithuto tsa 2025 PSLE, JC, BGCSE e ntshwa ya boswa mo tseleng. Go ya ka tona, palo ya disilabase ke 76 tse di tla tlhatlhobiwa mo motseletseleng ono.
Ladies and gentlemen, for this meeting is to update the media on the 2025 examination preparedness and to preempt many inquiries on the ongoing examination cycle. But after presentation on this one, I'll also touch on what the ministry and other ministries and stakeholders are doing to ensure that we provide a conducive environment in terms of infrastructure for our learners who will be sitting for the exams. Now let me get back to the exam. Secondly, to share with you our readiness to release the results once all processes are completed. For the release of the results, as it is in itself a process. That is, we cannot talk about the writing of the exam and readiness to do that without alluding to the release of the results. Thirdly, to ensure that all stakeholders are aware of the challenges that come with the administration of examinations and the whole process that leads to certification. Ladies and gentlemen, there are always new developments that we would wish to share with you. For example, the popular e-marking and data smart application that was introduced during the 2024 examination cycle. This system supports the main Malipas system that we have traditionally been using for over 13 years now. Yes, the main focus of this press briefing is on the 2025 examinations and the anticipated period for the release of results, because that is what the whole nation is interested in at the moment. Now, let's look at the 2025 examination landscape. Botswana Examination Council is conducting national examinations for PSLE, JCE, Legacy BGCSE, that is for the old syllabuses, and the new BSSE. A total of 76 syllabuses will be assessed in this series, comprising 7 at PSLE, 17 at JCE, 27 Legacy BGCSE syllabuses, 4 outcome-based education, that is OBE phase 1, and 21 phase 2 OBE syllabuses, that is the outcome-based education syllabuses, which will be assessed for the first time in 2025.
Ditlhatlhobo tsa monongwaga di simolotse ka tlhoafalo mme ditlhatlhobo tsa tirisodiata tsa JCE le BGCSE di tsweletse fa ditlhatlhobo tse di kwalwang di tshwanetse go latela ka kgwedi ya Diphalane le ngwana a tsele.
The 2025 examinations have started in earnest with JCE and BGCSE practical examinations ongoing, while written examinations are to follow in October and November.
Kwadiso ya baithuti e weditswe ka katlego. Gareng ga baithuti ba go baithuti ba ba nang le ditlhokego tse di kgethegileng tsa thuto ba lephata la ditlhatlhobo BEC e tsweletseng go ba naya thulaganyo ya go tsena.
At Botswana Examinations Council, we ensure that there is equity in the administration of our examinations. We have inclusive accommodations for those with special needs. There is a process in place that has to be followed to make arrangements for those with special needs. It's a process called special access arrangement, whereby centers I'm referring to schools, they inform the BEC through an application to indicate the candidates who have special needs, the different types of special needs, and we make accommodations for our examination material. For example, you might have students with vision impairment, which means they cannot see the regular print of maybe size 11. So we need to ensure that the printing is enlarged to accommodate the vision needs of those students. You might have students who have hearing impairment and who are blind. And those students, we make accommodations like Braille, so that the examinations are translated into a Braille. This is the language that they use for communications through writing. We also might have students with learning disabilities, and we make certain accommodations to examination material so that they are catered for. So centers have to apply to Botswana examination to indicate the candidates that they have in their schools who might need the assistance of access arrangement, that is special education catering for, and will make the necessary arrangements prior to the examination and ensure that they are accommodated for.
The registration of candidates was completed successfully. Among this population are candidates with special educational needs who BEC continues to offer access arrangements. And then I would like to share with you what I have in this prepared table regarding the numbers of candidates across levels. For PSLE, we have government centers with 49,358, private school centers with 3,706, and then the out of school and the BOU centers at 32. This time around, we don't have BEC private centers, and we have a total at PSLE of 53,096 candidates. For JCE, we have 45,629 for government centers, 1,620 for private school centers, and then for BOU and OSET centers, we have 1,083. And then for the BEC private centers, we have 1,424, leading us to a total of 48,298 candidates for JCE. For BGCSE, 22,789 for government centers. For private schools, we have 336. And then for both OSET centers, we have 1,856. And then for BEC private centers, we have 10,277, and giving us an overall total of candidates at 35,258.
Mo tiragalo e ya manang le seno, morutabana wa Sefora go tswa ko sekolong sa Morama Junior Secondary School o ne a dira thulaganyo e potakileng ya gore thathobo ya Sefora ya 2025 e emisiwe. Kgetsi e ne ya rediwa ko kgoteng kgolo ya Maung mme ya kgaolwa.
The lessons learned, obviously reflections had to be made in terms of where could we have missed our examination standard and the conduct of examinations. And we are working around the clock to ensure that we don't miss any of our standard. I should indicate that Botswana Examinations Council, we adhere to assessment principles of validity, reliability, and ensuring that our assessment materials, these are our instruments, they adhere to international best practice standards, either for the development of the examination instruments or for the administration. You know, at times there could be a lapse here, but these are lapses that would not allow for gaps to happen It's just an incident that somehow happened, but we ensure that we have a robust and credible examination system put in place from end to end, starting from the registration of students all the way to the development of instruments. And that's lessons learned, and we ensure that everything is put in order to adhere to those best standards internationally. And also to assure those stakeholders who are taking the examinations or those who are interested that indeed the BEC examinations are credible.
The 2025 examinations were planned to run without any interruptions until, unfortunately, or rightfully so, because we are a human rights oriented government, everyone is free to do what they want, until one teacher of the French syllabus at Morama Junior Secondary School made an urgent application, you may have heard, to the Court of Law to interdict the 2025 examination process, to which the case was heard at the Maung High Court and was dismissed, of course with BEC instructed to bear the plaintiff and the council's legal costs. The 2025 examination, ladies and gentlemen, will continue as scheduled. Where are we in the process? The JCE and BGCSE practical examinations started on the 8th of September and are expected to be concluded on the 26th September 2025. For some BSSE syllabuses, the practical examinations are running concurrently with the moderation exercises. For most of the syllabuses, the moderation activity is scheduled for October 2025. Now let's look at the schedule for the commencement of examinations, the written part. PSLE will start on the 6th of October 2025 and end on the 13th October 2025. The JCE will start on the 11th August 2025 and will end on the 31st October 2025. The BGCSE will start on the 3rd of October 2025 and end on the 28th November 2025.
Mo di syllabuseng di le dintsi, tiriso ya go lekanyetsa e rulaganyeditswe diphalane 2025. Tona Mokoka o tladitse ka gore bobedi jo bo tlwaelesegileng le jwa go tshwa ka maranyane jo bontseng bo dirisiwa fa e sale ka 2022 bo santse bo tsamaya ka matla.
The marking and grading of all examinations will be done as schedules, and this is the schedule for marking all examinations. PSLE marking will start on November 2025 and then end in the same month, November 2025. JCE will start in December 2025 and end in the same month. BGCSE will start in December 2025 and end in January 2026. Marking venues. The council, that is BEC, is still exploring the venues for the 2025 examination marking. The BEC is facing financial challenges and therefore will opt for cheaper facilities, which will be a cost-effective way during this period. Marking. As with the previous cycle, the marking for BGCSE will be conducted through two approaches, conventional and online, while marking at JCE and PSLE will follow the conventional approach. E-marking. E-marking, which has been in use since 2022, is still going strong. As you may recall that the debit components that use the system were only 9 when we started. In 2023, we increased the components to 32 and continued the e-marking system in the 32 BGCSE components in 2024. The number of components to be marked online at BGCSE has increased from 32 components to 67 components, quite an improvement. The increase was necessary to improve efficiency during marking. The e-marking process will continue to increase gradually in the final year examinations to accommodate the marking of more components going forward. And if God graciously blesses us with digitalization of the education system, the manual marking will become history.
Mo dikganyeng tsa kgwebo, Mayfair Insurance e neng ya simolla lebenkele kwa Botswana ka Seetebosigo 2025 e ne ya bulela moreki wa Botswana dikgoro tsa yone ko moletlelong o neng o tsenwe ke batsamaisi ba komponi go tswa kwa Botswana le kwa mafatsheng a sele. Insurance ya Mayfair ke komponi ya insurance e seng ya botshelo mme e neilwe tiseletso kwa mahatsheng a mangwe jaaka Kenya, Zambia, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda le DRC. Komponi eno ke komponi e tlaleletsang ya Mayfair Insurance Company Limited ya Kenya e tsweletseng go tsamaisa kgwebo e atlegileng mo mmarakeng wa Kenya o na le kgaisano e kwa godimo mme e solofela go dira letshwao la yone mo Botswana. Mo dikganyeng tse dingwe, tona ya tikologo bojanala mototegi Wynter Boipuso Mmolotsi o nnile le puisano le bobega dikgang ba selegae ka puisano e tannang teng ya bojanala ya maemo a kwa godimo. Tona o ne a gatelela phetogo ka go itsitsipela tekatekano le go tswelela. O ne gape a thalosa dipilara tse di botlhokwa tsa bojanala e leng go farologanya mafelo a bojanala go matafatsa le go nna beng ba selegae, tlhokomelo ya tikologo le go dira go lekalekana ga bojanala e nne la maranyane. O ne gape a thalosa dipilara tse di botlhokwa tsa bojanala e leng go farologanya mafelo a bojanala go matlafatsa le go nna beng ba selegae, tlhokomelo ya tikologo le go dira lekalana la bojanala le nne la maranyane. Mme a re dipilara tse di botlhokwa thata mo ke go netefatsa gore lephata le nna le akaretsa botlhe le go lekalekana go tlhokomela tikologo.
No, thank you very much, and thank you, Member Setlam, for being very generous by your introduction. But maybe I should just indicate that I don't think I'm the most important person in the room, but I think maybe a little special, but that status comes from maybe the way I was employed. Because while all of you had to apply, got invited to interviews, and then got employed, you know, I had to go under the tree and shout at the top of my voice, and that's the speciality that I think we should talk about. But having said that, thank Bagaitsuki Dumedise, and recognize every one of you. I believe you are all important, and let me also recognize the presence of all Botswana who are watching this program, which is a very, very important program. Let me also appreciate the presence of panelists who are here, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to stand before you today as we gather to reflect, reimagine and realign our shared vision for tourism in Botswana. A vision rooted in sustainability, community empowerment and inclusive growth. We are at a crossroads. Around the world, tourism is changing, and we must ask ourselves, will we simply adapt to these changes, or will we lead the way with our own values and vision? Tourism is more than a revenue stream. It is a strategic pillar of our national development. It is a gateway to employment, to rural development, to cultural exchange, and to the preservation of our natural heritage. It supports thousands of livelihoods, and it gives us a platform to share the story of Botswana with the world. a story of peace, of natural beauty, of cultural richness, and of responsible stewardship. Botswana is already recognized globally for our low impact, high value tourism model. Ladies and gentlemen, the transformation we speak of today is not just about economic growth. It is about resilience, equity, and sustainability. Climate change is affecting our ecosystems. Certain communities remain on the margins of the tourism economy. Over-tourism in some areas threatens both biodiversity and our visitor experience. Our youth are looking for new, innovative, digital-driven opportunities that the traditional tourism model may not fully offer. Transformation means preparing for the future without compromising the integrity of our people or our environment. So what does a truly sustainable and inclusive tourism sector look like? Now, as a Minister of Environment and Tourism, I believe it rests on 5 key pillars. The first one being diversification of destinations. We will promote emerging destinations and experiences across all districts, including heritage sites, cultural festivals, and community-based tourism initiatives to ensure a broader distribution of benefits. 2, local empowerment and ownership. Communities, especially women and youth, must not just participate in tourism, they must lead it. We'll expand capacity building programs and access to financing for local tourism entrepreneurs. Now, climate and environmental stewardship. As custodians of our natural heritage, we'll enforce sustainable practices across the tourism value chain, including the use of renewable energy, eco-certification, and responsible wildlife interactions. We are working to digitize the tourism sector, from national branding to booking platforms, to ensure Botswana is discoverable, competitive, and convenient for global travelers. We'll align tourism development with national goals such as Vision 2036 and the Sustainable Development Goals, while strengthening partnerships across public, private, and civil society sectors. This dialogue is not a formality. It is a call to action. The solutions we seek will not come from government alone. They will come from panelists like those here today, from community leaders, from the private innovators, and importantly, from members of the public who live and breathe the realities of this industry every day. Let this be a space where ideas are shared honestly, where challenges are acknowledged, and where practical, homegrown solutions are brought to the fore. In conclusion, tourism offers a rare opportunity to build an industry that not only brings in income, but uplifts people, protects nature, and honors our culture. Let us not lose that opportunity by standing still. Let us move forward, not with quick fixes, but with bold, thoughtful transformation. Let us commit to a tourism sector that reflects the best of who we are and the best of what we want to become.
My name is Kamakalo Mwaneng. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Little Larna Limited, otherwise known as LLR. LLR is a real estate investment and management company that is listed on the Botswana Stock Exchange. Our portfolio spreads across 2 sectors currently, being the industrial and the retail sector. However, we are looking to diversify our portfolio across various asset classes, such as your hospitality and tourism, your office, your healthcare and data centers and other assets, alongside your traditional asset classes such as your industrial and your retail. So at LLR, what we do is we provide accommodation for our tenants who pay us rental, and then from that rental we pay our expenses, our operating expenses, and return the excess cash to the shareholders in the form of distribution and dividends. So what we do ultimately, we are just caretakers of our investors and stakeholders' funds and make sure that we create a basket of wealth for them through the management and investment process that we follow as a company. So our value is really delivered through a number of things. It starts obviously with the investment process. So what we do before we onboard any investment is that we do extensive due diligence to make sure that, number one, the location of the property is good, as well as the ability to multi-tenant that property. And then from then on, we make sure that whatever funding mechanism that we're going to use is going to be able to be lower than the income that we're going to get to be able to increase the profitability of the portfolio. And once again, what we look at is both distribution as well as net asset value. So we also look at the ability of the asset to grow over time to be able to give shareholders that capital appreciation. That's one. So we have a disciplined investment process that we follow before we onboard investments. And then from a management perspective, now comes in the tenanting of the property, where we carefully select our tenants. We have a very thorough vetting process, credit vetting process, to make sure that the tenants that we do get in our properties are able to pay their rentals, as is demonstrated by the high occupancy rates as well as stellar collection rates of 100% that you see us present today. So we have a very intensive customer-focused property management strategy that allows us to really extract value from our portfolio and enhance the value of our properties and ultimately create shareholder value. So our assets, the sectors that we're spread across, we make sure that they are resilient, such that if there's any economic downturn, we're still able to deliver on the promises that we have promised our shareholders.
The market conditions that our country is currently facing. Just as a comment, I think I liked the comments around the diversify the portfolio. And also aligning yourselves to the government initiative or agenda. But what doesn't come out clear is around the sustainability. You mentioned that there are malls that the retail mall, particularly in Pico, and also extending into other areas. And given the situation around power in our country, do you have any plans to align yourself as well to renewable energy, water conservation, and all the sustainability initiatives out there? Thank you.
Absolutely. So in terms of our diversification, we look at it in two parts, right? So we look at it from a sector perspective to say what sectors are we investing in. Our strategy, as well as our investment policy, says that we invest in industrial, we invest in retail, we invest in healthcare, we invest in tourism, office, as well as other specialized asset classes. And this really helps such that we create a balanced portfolio in the event that if one sector is not performing well due to a particular economic issue that affects only that sector, then at least the others are able to compensate and give that balanced income. So that's from a sector perspective. And then we also look at it from a geographical perspective. As you can see, Botswana is currently facing some macroeconomic challenges, and being concentrated in Botswana poses a risk to our investors in terms of the income that they're guaranteed. However, when we diversify, which we have historically with an investment in Kenya and still are looking to diversify into the rest of Africa through our Go to Africa strategy that we launched about 3 years ago, this will also help to cushion the returns that our investors get, such that it isolates that portfolio from the macroeconomic challenges of the country. So that's how we balance the diversification and risk management for our shareholders.
Mogotsa metshameko gompieno lephata la metshameko le bodiragatsi le ne le rulagantse gore setlhopha se se neng se emetse lefatshe ko World Athletics Championship 2025 ko Tokyo, Japan se kopane le setšhaba go ba dumedisa le go ba ipilela se ile go supa ka ga lehatshe le le motlotlo ka kemedi ya bone. Batswana ba le mmalwa ba supile fa ba le motlotlo ebile ba itumeletse ka ga ba dirileng ka teng ba tsholetsa folaga ya lehatshe. Mme ebile ba rutwetsa le gore ba ba nang le talente e ba rutwetsege go ka tsenella mabelo.
From Ministry of Sport and Arts ko Department of Arts. Today re mo main molo re tlo go kopana le bana ba rona ba ba dirileng bonte ko Tokyo, Japan. And today is just a photo op opportunity for them ba dumedise Batswana ba ba itumeletse thata ba khone go bona setšhaba ba ba dumedise le rona re ba galaletse gore ba dirile turente ya thata mo ko nna ba ile go representative. So expectation hala ke gore ba ta paga ma stand hale re ba wavele re tse dinepe le bone le ba tse dinepe up close. Kana it's a huge opportunity for us to see kana the now celebrities to appreciate what they've done for us.
Wethu di felela fa sala we tisitse le mananeo a mangwe a Lesedi television mme a re tsamaeleng gone ko re go ipelela di gauta le bronze ya rona ga mmogo le ipuso ya rona a enne boroko.